Hello intellectuals, MJ here with MBJ Knowledge. If you are new here, please consider subscribing for more content like this. Alright, so today we have a science question. In fact, we have two. One coming under electricity, the other one is coming under acceleration due to gravity. So let's dive into our first question. The figure 7.1 shows a 6.0 volt power supply connected to two resistors which are in parallel. Calculate the effective resistance of the two resistors. In case you are not given what type of a circuit it is, the first step you are supposed to take is to identify your circuit, because if you know the circuit, then you should be able to find effective resistance. Effective resistance means the total resistance. In this case, we already know that this is our parallel circuit. So now in a parallel circuit, for us to be able to find effective resistance, since they are just two resistors, okay, mostly we use the inverse of resistors, okay, that are given, the inverse or the reciprocals. Now because they are just two, we'll go with a faster method, that is multiplying the two resistors given, dividing by their sum, that is adding the two resistors. Okay, by doing so we'll get the effective resistance in this circuit, or the total resistance. So the formula will be effective resistance. In this case, I've said we need to multiply the two, so resistor 1 times resistor 2 divided by their sum, resistor 1 plus resistor 2. When we do this, only use this formula when you have been given only two resistors in parallel circuit. If there are more than two, please do not use this formula. Okay, use the inverse, the reciprocals, okay, the sum of the reciprocals of your resistors. Alright, so in this case let us substitute. So 4 times 12 divided by 4 plus 12. In this case 4 times 12 is a 48. Then 4 plus 12, that is a 16. So we have 48 divided by 16. We can divide the 16 into 48, where we are going to get our effective resistance as 3 ohms. So this is the answer for the first question A. Question B. Calculate the value of the current in Roman numeral 1, the 4 ohms resistor. We are supposed to calculate the current in the 4 ohms resistor. This is the 4 ohms resistor right here. So they are asking us the current which is flowing through this resistance. Okay, so now the formula that we're going to use is the common formula, okay, the Ohm's law formula, which is saying resistor is equal to resistance is equal to voltage over current. Okay, that is Ohm's law. That talks about that relationship. So now let's pick out the data in this case. So our resistor, in this case, we're looking at the resistor 1 in this case, which is right here. So this resistor, what is the resistance on this resistor? The resistance on this one is a 4. So I'm going to put a 4 where there is R here, equal to, what is the voltage? Now, because we know that this is a parallel circuit, voltage in a parallel circuit is the same at all points. So the same here, the same there, the same in the entire circuit. Meaning this 6 ohms, the 6 voltage is the one that goes through the 12 ohms resistor. It is the same voltage that goes through the 4 ohms resistor. Alright, so voltage in the parallel circuit is the same. So the voltage will be 6 divided by current, which I don't know. So over 1 on the other end. Alright, then we cross multiply here. We'll have 4 times 1, 4 times I, where we'll have 4I, then 1 times 6, where we're going to have 6. So we'll have 4I equal to 6. Alright, so from here we can divide by 4 on both sides. Okay, divide by 4, this 4 and this 4 will give us a 1. So we're going to have current as equal to 1.5 amps. This is the current which is flowing in the 4 ohms resistor. Okay, I hope you are okay there. Then calculate the value of the current in the battery. So the current which is in the battery, this is the battery we are talking about right here. So the current which is in the battery being translated to the current in the entire circuit. Okay, get that right. So if I say current in the battery, they simply mean current which is running in the entire circuit. Again, we are using the same formula, that is the Ohm's law formula. Alright, so Ohm's law says resistance equal to voltage over current. Okay, so in this case, our current to be calculated in the entire circuit, we need the total resistance. Okay, meaning what we found in question A should now be used. So what did we find in A? We found a 3 as our effective resistance, because we are finding total current, so even the resistance that we need should be for the entire circuit. Alright, so we have 3, then voltage still remains the same. Remember, the voltage is the same in the parallel circuit. So we have 6 here over I. What we are calculating is not the current which goes through 12 or the current that goes through 4 ohms. No. The current we are calculating is the current that is running in the entire circuit, which is the current in the battery. Alright, so we cross multiply here. Alright, we're going to have 3 times I, where we have 3I, 1 times 6, where we have 6, so 3I equal to 6, divide by 3 on both sides. Okay, this 3 and this 3 will give us a 1, so our current becomes a 2. So 2 amps is the current which is running in the entire circuit. I hope you're clear there. Alright, we push into the last question, question C. Would the addition of an extra resistor between A and B in parallel with the original resistors increase or decrease the current in the battery? Explain your answer. Would the addition of an extra resistor between A and B in parallel with the original resistors increase or decrease the current in the battery? Explain your answer. So if we add in another resistor right here, okay, which is parallel to this, the question is saying if we add in an extra resistor just here, which is also in parallel circuit with these other resistors that are there, would it increase or decrease the current? Okay, when you add in another resistor, one thing you have to know, when you add in another resistor, what will happen is that the effective resistance will reduce. Okay, now if it reduces, here is what happens now. The straightforward answer in this case is the current in the battery will increase. Okay, why do we say that? Look at this. In the parallel circuit, you should know that there are different paths or different routes that current needs to take. For instance, current will have to take this route going to 12. Current will have to take this route to this new resistor we've put in. Current again will have to take that other route where there is the 4 ohms. Okay, so now the routes or the paths have increased. So what do you expect? Once the path have increased, what will happen is the current has to increase for it to be able to bridge into different routes. Okay, so the concrete reason here is that the current will increase. Why is it so? It's because connecting resistors in parallel creates more path for electrons to flow. This reduces the overall equivalent resistance of the circuit. So the overall equivalent resistance simply means the effective resistance in the circuit. It will reduce. So once it reduces, that simply means current will have to increase. Alright, that is this relationship that you are seeing here. Alright, so that is about that, because resistance and the current, according to Ohm's law, they are inversely proportional to each other. Okay, let's go to our last question, which is acceleration due to gravity. A stone of mass 1.0 kg is dropped from a certain height and takes 8 seconds for the stone to strike the sandy ground. Upon reaching the ground, the stone penetrates 5.0 centimeters into the ground. take g equal to 10 meters per second squared. The first question is saying calculate the height from where the stone is dropped. We are being asked to calculate the height from where the stone was dropped. Okay, let us do, this is the formula we're going to use. Okay, this is a downwards motion. So using the formulas that we have under equations of motion, we just need to change them a bit. Okay, because now this is the acceleration due to gravity for downwards motion. Initial velocity becomes 0. Okay, so that ut that is at the beginning here of this formula, we remove it. Then the distance, we change it into height. Okay, so this is the formula for height in case you've been asked to find the height for downwards motion if an object is being dropped from a particular height. So h equal to half gt squared. Okay, on the data, g is 10. All right, t, what is the time? It took it 8 seconds. Okay, so our time is 8. If we substitute, we're going to have half times 10 times 8 squared. So 8 squared will just be 8 times 8, which is giving us a 64 here in this case. Okay, if we want, we can divide this, but let us proceed. So we have half times 10 times 64. All right, we can divide the 2, or we can multiply 1 times 10 times 64, then divide by 2 later. Okay, so we have 10 times 64, that is 640. Divide the 2 into this. We're going to have 2 into 6, that is a 3. Okay, 2 into 4, that is a 2. 2 into 0, that is a 0. So now we have 320. So the height from where the stone was dropped is 320 meters. That is the answer there. Okay. Question B. Calculate the kinetic energy of the stone on reaching the ground. Calculate the kinetic energy of the stone on reaching the ground. Now, this one, if we go by finding using the formula for kinetic energy, remember kinetic energy is equal to what? Half mv squared. So, of course, our mass we have, but we do not have velocity in this case. It means we'll have to be forced to calculate first of all the velocity. Okay, now we are not going to go through that trouble, because as we know that energy conservation says energy will not be destroyed but can be converted into a different form. So when the stone was still on that height, energy was stored as potential energy. As it was dropping from that particular height, energy was being converted into kinetic. Okay, on reaching the ground, the entire potential energy is being converted into kinetic. So what we're going to do, we'll just calculate the stored energy. So kinetic energy will be calculated in terms of potential energy. So we'll just use the formula for potential energy, which is mgh. So kinetic equal to potential, then kinetic equal to mgh. Okay, so our mass is 1, gravity is 10, height is 320. When we multiply, we're going to have 3,200 joules. This is the kinetic energy on reaching the ground. That is the kinetic energy that this stone will have upon hitting the ground. On hitting the ground. Okay, we go to the last question. Calculate the average retarding force. We are supposed to calculate the average retarding force. Now, this question has got parts. So, the first part, you cannot go direct. Of course, we are going to use the formula force equal to ma. Now, our mass we have, but what we do not have is the deceleration in this case. Okay, for us to be able to calculate. So, to calculate this deceleration or the negative acceleration, what we are supposed to do is, first of all, let us calculate the velocity now in this case. We need to find the velocity, whether we like it or not. So, let us calculate. So, the velocity in this case, we are going to use the formula velocity is equal to square root of 2gh. Now, this formula, you only use it when you want to find the velocity of an object on striking the ground or before it strikes the ground. This is the total velocity that your object is going to have. As it falls, velocity is increasing, okay, as it falls, because it is starting from 0. Now it begins to increase. Once upon hitting the ground, or on hitting the ground, or as it strikes the ground, it strikes with a maximum velocity, and that is what we are calculating. Okay, so our height we already calculated, gravity we know. Okay, so now we substitute. So 2 times 10 times 320, we have 6,400. Then we take the square root of this. We are going to have velocity as 80. So 80 meters per second. We have calculated the velocity. Now, let us look at other information that we've been given before we go ahead and calculate now for the acceleration, in this case, the retardation. So, finding deceleration in this case, we look at what we have. So, looking at this question, this speed that we have calculated now, because it struck the sandy ground. So, the retarding force now, this object begins to retard when it is penetrating the sand. Okay, so this speed that it strikes the sand with becomes now the initial velocity. This 80 meters per second becomes the initial velocity. Now, if it is retarding, it means the speed is reducing. So the final velocity will be 0. Now, in this case, we are saying stone enters the sand at initial velocity 80 meters per second. So this speed we have calculated becomes the initial velocity. What's our final? Since it is retarding, the final, it means the object will stop. So the final will be 0 meters per second. Now, what is the distance? They are saying the stone penetrates 5.0 centimeters into the ground. So this is the distance. Now we have to convert it. So the 5 divided by 100, we convert it into meters, where we're going to get 0.05 when we divide 5 by 100. Okay, so the distance is 0.05 meters. Now we're going to use this formula to calculate our deceleration, that is v squared equal to u squared minus 2as. Why are we putting a negative here? It's because our deceleration is a negative acceleration. So no wonder we're introducing this negative here. Okay, so we put in the values. Final becomes 0 squared equal to initial 80 squared minus 2 times a, that is what we are finding, times our distance is 0.05. If we multiply 2 times 0.05 and we also expand 80 squared, we're going to have 6,400 minus 0.1a. Okay, then here we're going to make the 64 to cross the equal sign. It has to go on the other side, where it will be negative 6,400, then equal to this. So we need to divide now by a negative 0.1 on both sides, a negative 0.1. So this side it will go, this negative and the negative, when we divide we have a positive. 6,400 being divided by 0.1, we're just going to have 64,000 meters per second squared. That is our value for the retardation or deceleration. Now we can answer the question, calculate the average retarding force. So force is equal to mass times acceleration. Okay, so the mass is 1, the acceleration is 64,000. Okay, that we are just from calculating this case. So when we multiply, our final answer will be 64,000 Newton. This is neglecting the force of gravity in this case. All right, so this is our final answer. So thank you very much, guys, for watching up to the end. If you liked and enjoyed this video, make sure you share with your friends, leave a comment, and come back or watch more videos in our channel.